Jesus, how do I live up to that hype? Hate to disappoint you, but I'm going to talk to you about breasts. All right. Yeah, there's nothing worse and nothing more disappointing than a middle-aged man standing up here recalling boobs of the 2000s. I know. These two young guys here, they're like, we paid for this. All right. But keep in mind, the 2000s were a time of radical changes. Radical, okay? So, first of all, the Czechs were already in NATO, okay? Then the Czechs joined the European Union, okay? And also in the year 2000, only 11 years after communism ended, there were anti-globalization riots. Already the Czechs realized there's something fucked up about the American system. But the biggest change, and the one that outraged the men, okay, the men, not Czech women, Czech men were furious about this. Men were suddenly allowed to be there for the delivery of their child. I'm sorry. I've sat there where you are like 1,000 times and watched a million female comedians come up here and say, men can't find the clitoris. Men have no idea where the G-spot is. Men are too immature to be allowed near my lady parts. What do you think's gonna happen when you're shitting out a watermelon? You don't think the man is gonna stand in front of you and go, you can push it back in. You can, look, the head is all soft. Anyway, but I went and I talked to my student, the most liberal student I had, Yurka. And while I was writing this, actually, I really realized Yurka probably wasn't liberal. Just in the 2000s, he was the only Czech not to talk about hockey. So that was like the best I could do. But anyway, I said to Yurka, Yurka, I'm going to be there. And Yurka's wife was pregnant as well. I'm like, Yurka, I'm going to be there for the birth of my son. And Yurka looked at me and went, oh. Brian, I'm sorry, I had no idea your mother-in-law was dead. But your wife, she has a sister, am I right? Brian, you can fly your mother in. It's Czech law, it's perfectly legal. This is how adamant Czech men were against this. All the women in your family and your wife's family had to be dead before you, the husband, could be there. Okay, this is how adamant they were. But I registered for a Czech Lamaze class in English in the 2000s. In English, stress. So, the nurse was from that part of Czechoslovakia that was given to Joseph Stalin after World War II. If you don't know it, neither do I. But she was the nurse. And she didn't speak English because this was Prague in the 2000s. But she had VCR tapes, which were subtitled, which were in her native language, which came from that part of Czechoslovakia that was given to Joseph Stalin after World War II. But she had VCR tapes that were subtitled in Czech. So I was paying for, I don't know what I paid extra for. There was no English in this Lamaze class. There was absolutely none. But we could figure out what was going on. For example, in the first video, beautiful image, a woman is breastfeeding a baby, okay? Very, artists have tried to capture this for centuries, okay? And all of a sudden, the nurse runs over. Apparently, the nipple had fallen off the woman's boob. Okay, now most of you are going like, oh wow, that sounds terrible. How did that happen? I was like, where the hell did they find the stunt baby for this film? Because the nurse runs over, takes the baby, puts her hands down the baby's throat, and comes up with the nipple. Meanwhile, the mom is sitting there nippleless, I don't know how she's going to get milk. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. And the thing was subtitled anyway. I'm like, what the hell did I do? And then, of course, this being the Czech Republic in the 2000s, the next thing wasn't that bad. It was called cracked nipple. And the milk, because they squeezed the boob, and the milk was like a fountain. So I thought that was really, really, really cool. And then, and I have like, you know, because I have Irish skin, so I'm not supposed to be within like 40 feet of a hot day by law. So I have this like pink skin disease, right? So I get whiteheads, you know. So this one, I could even figure out. So the nipple on the woman inverted, you know, and you had to walk over while the baby was drinking milk, and you had to walk over and pop the nipple. I was like, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah. So, of course, this is the Czech Republic in the year 2000, in the 2000s. So the next step was a C-section. An emergency C-section, not like C-section. It was like, oh my God, the baby's halfway out. And they cut the woman open and they showed what was underneath. Now, I love my wife, and she'd make me come home from work and she'd make me talk gently to my son and say like, oh, it's a nice day today. We could play football. We could go skateboarding. When you're 16, we could go to Letna Park and smoke pot together and drink beer. You know, I had all these visions. All of a sudden, when I saw what was underneath, I kind of became a Norwegian heavy metal goth band. You know, I'd be like, get out of the darkness, come to the light, you know, screaming at my wife was like, what the hell? It's a baby. You're not supposed to talk like that. And then the final day, and again, I want to see who was doing the casting. I want to meet this genius because it was postpartum depression. So we got to watch a mother attempt to smother a child in Czech subtitles. So I didn't know what she was saying. I did recognize, you know, some of the vulgarity. That was my specialty back then. And then she's trying to put a pillow on the kid. And there's nurses. And I'm like, where are the cameras? You know, are they filming my childbirth as well? I had no idea how things worked in the Czech Republic back then, and the videotape wasn't helping. Anyway, finally, the day of my child's birth comes. And the most famous Czech in the world at the time had also had a baby on that day. No, not Václav Havel, thank you for playing. No, not Miloš Forman, thank you for playing. And what? Carol. He's a local celebrity. Germany and Slovakia is not the world. Come on, people. Rosenberg, the porn star. You guys don't know Rosenberg? I knew him well in the 2000s. My wife was pregnant. I wasn't getting any. Anyway, so I'm watching. So I come out. My son is born. My son is healthy. Liam Patrick. And I come walking out, and there is Rosenberg. And I say to Rosenberg, you understand the vagina. You must have been there for the birth of your child. And Rosenberg, this porn star, said something biblical, something so Old Testament. I had to go home and reread the Bible that my mother the one that my mother sends to me every Christmas. She sends me a new version. Okay. So and he goes, sir, we men are trained to put things in. Rosenberg's penis is a lot bigger than this. It's kind of like, yeah. So go home and do research, okay? So anyway, he says, we are not meant to take things out of the vagina. That is why the penis goes down. This is the way God made us. Thank you very much, everybody. Cheers.